Welcome, everyone. So you want a career in sustainability? Well, you have come to the right place. We are going to kick off tonight with a poll. And we'll leave this open for a few seconds. There are 3 questions, and we appreciate everybody participating. All right, and I am delighted to have my colleague Ashley here with us, who is going to be helping run the show. So Ashley, what are you noticing from the results? We have, it looks like almost everybody has participated, but we have a few more folks to go, and then we'll close the poll. And if you could share the results, that would be great. So just
Yeah.
another few seconds.
Okay, awesome. I'll give it another few seconds. Okay, I can see that the current situation for most folks here is that they're seeking to work in a sustainability related role, hence they are definitely in the right place. I see that the biggest challenges the majority of folks are facing is going to be that they're looking to finding jobs to apply to and also landing those job interviews. And they're definitely the majority of participants are the most excited to learn best practices today.
Great. Welcome, everyone. We're going to go ahead and close the poll, and we will share these results so everybody can take a look. So quite a range of responses, everything from looking to have an impact on issues that matter to you, to advancing in your careers, and then those top responses being the ones that Ashley called out: securing job offers, landing job interviews, finding jobs to apply to. All right. And we are excited to help you learn best practices, meet people, and get inspired together. So get ready. All right, so let's dig in. There are so many different directions that you can go in when it comes to a career in sustainability or a related area. ESG, CSR, data analysis, program management, you name it. So many opportunities. So if you could share in the chat where you're joining from and what interested you in this workshop, this will help us have even more of a sense of who is here with us, and then we will move forward. And Ashley's going to be putting the questions in the chat, so keep an eye out for those as we go through the workshop together. And we're going to ask that everybody keep muted. And there'll be a time to come off mute when we hop into the breakout rooms later. It's great to see some familiar faces and some new faces. So welcome, everyone.
We see that we have folks here joining from Brandeis, joining from Winthrop, joining from, I see Connecticut, Mercedes-Benz, India, looking to work in sustainability. See Bentley University, Washington, D.C. area, more Brandeis.
And what is bringing people to the workshop tonight? Do we have any more details on any of that anybody's sharing?
Definitely see that people are looking to get into a different role in sustainability, kick off their careers in sustainability, and also just looking to see how sustainability can be incorporated into various roles that they're interested in.
Okay, terrific. Keep them coming. There will be a bunch of opportunities
Boston, well,
throughout for folks to continue to chime in. And we know from the questionnaire that you filled out before the workshop that a bunch of these areas that we have on this slide are areas of interest to you. So it's totally okay if right now you are a yes to all of these or one of these or somewhere in the middle. All right. So let's talk about how you're feeling. You might be feeling a combination of disheartened, frustrated, anxious, concerned, stuck, stressed, burned out, confused, unsure, maybe even lacking hope. We'd love to hear from you in the chat, just in a few words, how you're feeling about your career right now. And Ashley's going to read off a few of those in just a moment. And we're not going to use names as we read these aloud, so you can feel comfortable sharing what you'd like to share with the group.
Yeah, we see that folks are feeling happy, but not ecstatic. There's definitely a feeling of stress, or a lot of people are feeling stressed, overwhelmed, unmotivated. I see a lot of frustrated, definitely, but also there's a lot of folks who are really excited to be here today. Um, Definitely also a lot of people are feeling hopeful, even though the job search is exhausting.
Exhausted, we can add that to the list.
Yes,
And
yes,
excited.
definitely.
Okay. The
Oh,
job search and career pivots are, typically full of a lot of emotions, and it's really common to feel a mix of these things. Ashley, was there anything else you want to add before we move on to the next slide?
yeah, I think I see that a lot of folks are feeling also motivated, but they're also looking to see where they can really get started.
Okay, great. Motivation is going to come in handy. Okay. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to break down 5 top questions for sustainability careers. And so, and if I can figure out how to remove the mark that I just made on the screen, that would be even better. We might need a tech expert. Oh, I got my eraser out and I did it. So proud of myself. My clients compliment me on being tech savvy, and sometimes I feel like I'm just the right amount of tech savvy, and sometimes I feel like I'm not tech savvy at all. So it kind of depends on the day, probably even the hour. So bear with us as we're all learning here, the fun world that is online workshops. So what kind of experience do I need? This is one of the most common questions I hear. A lot of you ask this question when you registered for this workshop. Your problem might sound something like this. I don't know what kinds of experience, qualifications, education, certifications, skills, etc. I need to do the kind of work that I want. Can we just get a yes in the chat if anybody feels that way? Is that a problem that any of you encounter? Ashley, are we getting any yeses?
I see just one so far. Oh, yep, they're coming in. Yes,
They're
definitely.
coming in. Yeah. This is a big one. This is really common. So what are the solutions for this? Well, you want to review a range of job postings. When you find an interesting posting, you want to make sure that you read it really thoroughly and you analyze it before you decide to apply. This is a crucial step that a lot of people skip or they skimp on, and then they end up putting so much time into applying for roles that are really not a good fit. And the third thing you want to do is you want to identify what you have that the employer is looking for. And you want to really focus on those experiences, qualifications, skills, and so forth that most closely match what they are seeking. This is really about using a strength-based approach. Now, there's a common myth out there that you need to meet 100% of the job qualifications in order to be a viable candidate. Let me make sure you know that that is not true. So you could even meet, say, 60 or 70% of the job requirements and still be a very strong candidate for the role. Now, why do I say that? Well, job descriptions are not perfect documents, job postings, right? They are written by humans in most cases, maybe some robots these days, but pretty much they're written by imperfect beings, and they themselves are also imperfect. They are basically a wish list of what the employer would like in a candidate, what they think they need in a candidate. It's really their best guess. Some job descriptions are put together with a lot of care. Others are not. Others are put together rather quickly and haphazardly without a lot of thought and care. And research and so forth and so on. So take that into account as you are looking at job postings. These are not the end all and be all. These are somebody's best guess as to what they're looking for. So you really want to keep that in mind as you're looking at job postings. Also, let's say that there is nobody in the world who is interested in a certain role who meets 100% of the qualifications that are in the job posting. Well, what does that mean? That means that the organization is probably going to need to go with somebody who doesn't meet 100% of those qualifications. They might need to go with somebody who meets 90 or 80 or 70 or 60% of those qualifications. So keep that in mind as you're looking at job postings. I have a lot more to say about this, but there are also several more slides. So I will rein it in and we will move on from this slide. Another question that people constantly ask is, what level roles should I be looking at? Can we get a yes in the chat if this is a question that any of you ever have?
Definitely seen some yeses. Definitely a few people are saying 100%.
Okay, got it. So the problem in this case is typically that you are finding roles that are either too junior or too senior for you. And the solution is to use filtering on job sites to find appropriate level roles. And I've shown in the visual over here what you will find when you go onto the job section of LinkedIn, which is an excellent tool for looking at jobs and doing a whole bunch of other things. I do a lot of work with my clients on how to unlock the power of LinkedIn. And I would also say, don't limit yourself to LinkedIn when it comes to your job search or your career development in general. It is, an excellent resource. And it's also really important to make sure that you are using a variety of resources. So this might look familiar to some of you. These experience levels of internship, entry level, associate, mid senior level, director, executive. What I'll say about this is that many times you'll see a role that is called coordinator. That is going to be a relatively junior level role. Another example would be a specialist. That is typically, now I'm saying typically, not always, but typically that is going to be a more junior role. When I say junior, what I mean is requiring less experience. So for somebody with fewer years of experience, they're earlier in their career, perhaps, maybe they're a recent graduate. When you start to get into manager roles, that's more where you're talking about mid-senior level, which is what you see represented here, the way that LinkedIn categorizes roles. And then as you get more senior, you'll see things like director and executive. So what do those sound like? Well, there are different levels. You could be an assistant or an associate director, which is below the director level, but above a manager. So those are steps. You can think of this as like stairs. And then you have director, above director, you'd have things like associate or assistant vice president, perhaps. And then above that, you'd have things like executive director, you'd have things like president and so forth. So CEO and what have you. And it will depend on if you're looking at government, nonprofits, or for-profits, because they all use a little bit different lingo. And you want to make sure that you get familiar with those for whichever sectors you are looking at: government, for-profit, nonprofit. And I have clients who are in all of those sectors and looking to move into all of those sectors. And many people will do that throughout their life. They'll work in higher education, which is typically going to be a nonprofit. Then they'll pivot into, say, a government agency, and then they might go work at a consulting firm, so a for-profit. And so it's very common for people to move among the sectors, but it is something that requires some planning, some intentionality, and really speaking the language of those sectors and those industries. So the filtering is something that I can't stress enough. You really want to make sure you're being careful about how you set up your searches on these different sites, because that is very much going to shape the results that you get. A myth. I need to apply to entry-level roles because I'm pivoting from another type of role or industry. Okay, so not true. Sometimes people will say, I can't find any roles that match my salary expectations. And that's because they're looking at entry-level roles, even though they have 10 or 20 plus years of work experience. So again, it comes back to making sure that you are targeting roles that are at an appropriate level for the amount of experience you have. You don't need to have the exact experience that the job calls for to still be able to present yourself as a strong candidate, and quite frankly, to be able to be quite successful in the role. Now, it can be more difficult to get people to give you a chance if your experience is really quite different from the role that you are looking to land. But I can say from having worked with hundreds of clients over the years that it absolutely can be done. So let's move on to the next question. And this is, what should I focus on? So let's get yeses in the chat if this is something that speaks to you. The problem typically being, I'm having trouble deciding what types of roles to focus on. So you might not be sure if you want something that's research analysis or advocacy or marketing and communications, program management, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Any yeses coming in, Ashley?
Definitely a lot of yeses coming in. This one, everyone seems to be pretty much questioning themselves.
Yeah, and that's not surprising because as I was looking at your registration forms, I saw that many of you checked off several boxes on the form when it came to what kinds of roles you might be interested in. And some of you selected like 8 different types of roles, and that's okay. But what I would say is that that's okay as an early starting point. That is not where you want to be when you are several months into a job search. By that time, you really want to have honed in on a few areas. So that's the solution here, is really to choose 2 to 3 types of roles you think you're most interested in. Start focusing on those. And what you also want to do is you want to test that. You want to make sure that your impression of what you're interested in is tested. So you want to talk to other people. You want to listen to podcasts and read articles and attend events and, read interviews and maybe conduct some interviews, talk with friends and go to events where people are appearing on panels, such as the panel I served on hosted by Net Impact Boston a couple of weeks at the Microsoft Nerd Center in Cambridge, where we were speaking about pathways into social impact careers. So you want to really hear from people directly about what their experience has been like working in these different functions. For instance, because I've worked in policy advocacy roles as an environmental protection lobbyist at a statewide environmental organization, I can tell you about my experience doing that work. I also know a lot of people who have done that kind of work at a variety of organizations on the local, state, regional, and national, and even international levels. Because I have worked in a communications role in a sustainability office, I can tell you about what my experience was like in that kind of role. So part of what I do with my clients is I share about my experiences, but at the end of the day, it's really about them. It's about their skills, their priorities, their interests, and what they're looking for their careers. So these are a couple of steps that I encourage you to take as you work on increasing your level of focus and clarity. Now, there's a myth around this one as well, and that's that you need to choose just one type of role to explore. Not true. You can choose a few. Notice I said choose 2 to 3 types of roles that you think you might be interested in. So for instance, I might decide I want to look at opportunities that have to do with community engagement, policy advocacy, and marketing communications. You can kind of put marketing and communications together because they tend to be quite related. And many people's roles actually have both words in the title, or their department that they're part of is a marketing and communications department. So those would be 3 examples. Or you could choose, data analysis, research, and program management. You know, 3 different areas. And so you don't have to choose just one. You also don't want like 17. Okay, so try to find just a couple to keep it manageable. All right, let's move on to the next slide. And with this one, the question is, where are the jobs? Okay, so add in the chat yes if this is an issue for you. The problem typically being, I have a good idea of what I want to do, but I'm not finding the job postings. Just where are the opportunities for what I want to do? A number of you put on your registration form for this workshop that you feel like there are not a lot of opportunities in the kind of work that you would like to be doing. And so it seems like this is something that's pretty common based on that, as well as my work as a career coach over the past several years. Ashley, are we seeing any yeses?
Yes, we are. Definitely. Yes, they're starting to pile in.
Okay. So very common issue. And what are the solutions to this? You want to, and this is from a book called The 2-Hour Job Search, which is on my list of reading recommendations on my website, ericamadison.com. If you go to the free career resources, you will find it. I have a bunch of great recommended reads there. And in this book, they talk about identifying 40 employers that you are potentially interested in. Now, when I say this, usually people raise their eyebrows in shock. 40 employers. Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? I can't even think of 40 employers. It can sound really daunting. But what I will tell you is that the exercise of identifying 40 employers is really useful, because what it does is it creates an opportunity for you to learn about who's out there, and it really stretches you. And you're not looking at job postings. Let's be clear about this. You are looking at simply organizations. This is not about job postings, okay? You are looking at government agencies, if those are of interest to you. You are looking at nonprofit organizations, if those are of interest to you. And you are looking at for-profit companies, if those are potentially of interest to you. So you do some research, you generate a list, and then you start researching and building relationships with them. And as you do that, some will sort of rise to the top as being more interesting and appealing to you than others. Maybe some seem like a better cultural fit. Maybe some seem more aligned with your worldview or values. As you kind of get more comfortable and familiar with them, as you're following them, maybe on LinkedIn, as you maybe sign up for their email list, maybe they're hosting an event that you can attend online or in person, and so forth and so on. Maybe you're seeing who from your alumni network works there or has worked there in the past or serves on the board or volunteers there. And so as you get more and more familiar with these organizations, you will be now able to narrow your list down to about 20 target employers and focus on those. Now, oftentimes what people will say is, but isn't that actually really limiting? Because now I only have 20 places that I could get a job. And what I would say is, if some opportunity comes along that you're really excited about, that's not at one of these organizations, you could still go for it. That's okay. Nobody is going to say to you, you cannot pursue an opportunity because it was not on your list of 20 target employers. I assure you. Okay. So this is not actually limiting you. This is helping you develop focus. And the myth around this is that I need to focus on jobs that have been posted. So I need to go to LinkedIn or Indeed or Idealist or this one or that one, and I need to see a job posting and submit an application. And that is not the case. So we really want to be actually engaging with our networks and being in the places where we can find out about opportunities before they're even publicly posted. Because when you do that, you are going to have a competitive edge. You're not going to just be one of hundreds of applicants who saw the posting on LinkedIn and submitted an application. Now, I'm not saying don't apply to jobs that you see on places like LinkedIn. I'm simply saying that the majority of my clients and most people I interact with on a regular basis and the wisdom in the career development world is that most jobs are found out about and secured through relationships, through networks. All right, let's move on to the next slide. So why am I not getting interviews? Let's hear in the chat if anybody has been experiencing this. The problem tends to be you're getting out lots of applications, or maybe a few here and there, maybe even for roles you think you're a really good fit for, and you're just not landing interviews. And it can feel really frustrating. You might not know what to do differently. Anybody? Does this resonate with anybody?
Yes, we can see that a lot of people definitely feel like they've experienced this, or that this is a common question for them.
Okay. So the solution. What you want to do here is you want to invest the majority of your time engaging and growing your network. This is what I was just talking about. Also, you want to tailor your resume and your cover letter to match each opportunity. You do not want to simply say, this is my resume, this is my cover letter, and just send, 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 send. You are very unlikely to get responses. And there are a couple of reasons for that. One, if you've heard of an ATS, an applicant tracking system, this is a tool that many organizations use, and it is to scan resumes, scan job application materials, and help identify people to eliminate, help identify people to get a phone call. And if you are not sufficiently matching what is in the job posting, you are not going to get a conversation. Also, if a human is skimming your materials, and typically they're going to give you a few seconds to skim that resume and skim that cover letter, if they are able to tell that this is a really generic application that you're just sending to lots of different places, they're probably not going to give you the time of day. And I am quite fast at telling if this is happening. And if you talk to most recruiters, people in HR, hiring managers, many of them are quite fast at it as well. It's pretty easy to tell when it's a generic, especially cover letter. And there's a range, right? So there's like highly customized, and then there's not customized at all. And it's incredibly easy to tell if you didn't customize it at all and you're just sending it to a million places. It's pretty easy, not as easy, but pretty easy to tell if you did a little bit of tweaking, but it's still pretty much the same cover letter. And then if you really closely match it to the job posting and what the organization is seeking, then you're increasing your chances that you are going to get a conversation, because you have put in the time, the thought, the effort, and you're really demonstrating that this is an opportunity that you're really interested in. You're also making the job easier of the person who's looking at your materials, and they tend to like that. You're just kind of making their life easier. And then the third step here is that you want to have current projects, volunteering, activities that are relevant to your target job. You want to have those happening in your life. So a lot of people are saying, I want to get into sustainability. That's not what my background is in. I didn't study that in school. I haven't worked in that space. Like, how do I get into it? And what I would tell you is that many, many of my coaching clients and many people I know, and again, this is general wisdom in the career development world, they really got opportunities because they were just, actively engaging in the field that they were interested in, doing the kind of work that they wanted to do before anybody actually hired them to do it. Maybe it was pro bono consulting, maybe it was volunteering, maybe it was a project that they initiated or partnered with somebody on. Lots of different ways to do that. But definitely you want to make sure that on your resume, on your LinkedIn, in your cover letter, in your conversations, it is clear that you have relevant experience. So don't sit around and wait for somebody to give you experience. You need to go out and get that experience. And that is going to help you get the jobs that you want. The myth I'll share here is if I apply to lots of jobs, I'll get interviews. Not true. You may not. You may spend a lot of time sitting at your computer, looking at job boards, maybe even customizing your materials, and still not get interviews. And that's partly because there's often a lot of competition, right? There are going to be a lot of people who are probably a better match than you are, have more experience than you do, or what have you. And this is, again, where the importance of relationships and your brand really come into play. If somebody has a really great, relevant presence on LinkedIn, they're on there, they seem like they know what they're talking about, they're being of service, they're being helpful, they're creating value, and it's clear what their brand is about. And then you take somebody else who maybe has the same qualifications, maybe they're even, better qualified, and they really have no presence on a site like LinkedIn. I'm not saying they couldn't get the job, I'm just saying that they are basically making it harder for the hiring team to choose them. So you want to be, sharing what your brand is. And if that has to do with sustainability, you want to make sure that you are getting that out there. All right, so I'm going to share a quick client success story, and then we're going to start to wind down with a couple more questions and a few minutes in breakout rooms for anybody who wants to stick around and meet some folks. So this story is about Michelle, and she is, a case where she's really putting these steps into action. And so I want to share this with you because it can really help this come to life. So she reached out for support because she was considering her professional and educational options. I have a lot of people who are considering graduate school and so forth. They're not sure what program, they're not sure what they want to study. They don't know what school they want to go to. Maybe they don't even know what city, state, or country they want to be in. And so that's something that I help them create a process so that they can consider their options and move forward intentionally. And so she was considering her professional and educational options, including a potential career pivot into sustainability in a different sector. Remember, I was talking about the sectors of for-profits, nonprofits, and government. She was feeling really confused and overwhelmed. Where to start was pretty much her question. And what did she do? Well, working together, she was able to get clear on her priorities, her target roles and employers, and her most relevant transferable skills. Then she was able to align those with the opportunities that she was excited about. She overhauled her job application and branding materials to match her targets, as I spoke about. And then we worked on narrative development. This is really your story. She was able to cultivate a polished, authentic narrative to prepare for outreach and conversations with people. And she connected. She inventoried her network using a tool that I helped her develop. She connected with existing connections, and she also sought out ways to grow her network. We know that it's important to have close relationships with people. It's also valuable to have a lot of relationships. So both of those really matter. And then she was able to accomplish her goals. She felt delighted about the offer she landed, and she was confident negotiating an excellent compensation package, including a substantial pay bump, something that she honestly did not think was realistic when we first started working together. So that was a very pleasant outcome for her. And she was able to do the work that she was passionate about and use her skills to make a positive difference in the world. So, Ashley, could you please share this question in the chat? What do you not know that you need to know? One of the most valuable steps you can take right now is identifying what you don't know that you need to know. It might take a minute to come up with something, but go ahead and share in the chat if you are ready what you don't know that you need to know.
I see an answer for about industry specific challenges or terminologies. Waiting for a few more responses.
Absolutely. Being able to speak the language of your desired industry, sector, organization is crucial. Not even just when you get into the role, but in order to get into the role, at least knowing the basics of how they talk about their work is really important. And it's something that sets apart job candidates.
Yeah, we can see that people definitely wanted to figure out which country they would like to work in, where their previous experience is best fit in for sustainability roles. how to learn more about investing in sustainability when they don't have a background in finance. I think a lot of folks are also really interested in building their networks as well, and then understanding how their skill sets are going to be able to be transferable to different roles in climate tech. Great.
Okay.
Yes.
What else, Ashley? Any more?
Oh, I was gonna say I also see one about how to narrow down what they're looking for so they don't end up in a job that isn't the right fit.
Okay. Thank you to everybody for sharing. How I work with people. I help people make a great living while doing work that makes a positive difference in the world. I partner with sustainability and social impact leaders to help them navigate career opportunities, both within their organizations and beyond. I do this through one-on-one coaching, group coaching, and workshops. And I leverage my background in psychology, public administration, and law, as well as my credentials in career coaching, life coaching, mediation, and my background working in sustainability and beyond. Here are some partner organizations and companies. Credentials. I'm pleased to be affiliated with these organizations. And so here's some support for you as you plan and implement your next steps. So if you don't have your phone handy, we encourage you to grab your phone so you can scan some QR codes. And Ashley, to make this even easier, is going to also be putting the links into the chat. So either scan the QR code and open the websites so you have them to take a look at for after the workshop, or you can grab the link from the chat as Ashley is sharing them. So thank you, Ashley, for taking care of that. This first opportunity, I'm really excited to share. This is a new group coaching program. It's called Pivot into Sustainability. So this is for folks who are really ready to take the next steps. This is a 6-week online program that's going to be running this spring. There are going to be materials, there are going to be meetings of the cohort. You will be able to have accountability partners from within the group, and I will be sharing best practices and feedback throughout the program. So right now is the early bird. This is just through this Friday, and there are a limited number of spots available. So I encourage folks to get their spot while they are available if this is something that you are ready to move forward with in a serious way and really make headway on your career goals. This is great for you if you're already in sustainability and you're having trouble getting to that next place in your career, or if you are in a different space and you're really excited to move into sustainability and you could use some support doing so. All right, the next opportunity is the Career Exploration Kickstarter. So Ashley, if you could make sure this is in the chat, that would be great. This is for you if you would like to move at your own pace over the course of 10 days and put in about 20 minutes a day. These are activities, guided journaling, self-assessments that I have put together for you. So you can go from, I don't know what I want to do. There are so many different possibilities. I can't decide. I don't know what would be a good fit for me. I don't have a strong sense of my skills, all of those kinds of things. If you enjoy doing journaling and taking self-assessments and things like that, there are some short forms that are part of the program, and you go through at your own pace in just a few minutes a day. At the end of the 10 days, you will be able to increase your clarity quite substantially. And it includes a bit of time with me one-on-one to help you get the most out of that program. So that is the Career Exploration Kickstarter. And Ashley, if you can put in the link for the next one. The last option we have for you tonight is to book a consultation call. This is a one-on-one, 1-hour conversation with me so we can explore your situation and talk about if coaching could be part of your solution. As part of this, you'll receive a questionnaire, which will really help you start to increase your clarity. And we'll have a meaningful conversation about what's happening with you in your career. And this is something that I really, welcome you to sign up for if you enjoyed our time together during the workshop and you're curious to learn more and explore possibly working together in a longer term way. So now is your chance to grow your network. We are going to spend a few minutes in breakout rooms. We'll come back together and put you back into other breakout rooms. And that way you'll get to meet a few different people from all over the world. And then we'll just come back together to hear takeaways. If anybody has to leave right now, we invite you to put your key takeaways from the workshop into the chat right now. So Ashley, if you could just put key takeaways into the chat, and folks, you are welcome if you have to depart early to put your key takeaways into the chat right now. We'll give a moment for that. We'll have another opportunity for that at the very end of the event in a few minutes. So I am going to start to do the breakout rooms. So just get those key takeaways in there. And then we're going to put you in small groups for let's see, Ashley, what time are we at right now?
8:42.
Okay, so we'll go in there for a few minutes. We'll bring you back, and then we'll send you into another set of breakout rooms. All right, enjoy your conversations, introduce yourselves, share about what you've been getting out of the workshop, what kinds of questions you have, and enjoy getting to know each other a bit. And we will see you in a few minutes to send you into the next round of breakout rooms. All right, welcome back, everyone. So we would love to know key takeaways. What did you get out of our time together?
So far, I see that somebody is taking away the idea of like creating a list of companies that you want to work for, that they need to network more, that they confirm that they're doing what they should be doing, but again, really focusing on building their network.
All right, any more key takeaways anybody wants to share before we wind down? Please feel free to add those in the chat. I hope that you found our time during the workshop together to be beneficial and that you enjoyed meeting some folks who are also passionate about sustainability, who are maybe close by to you, maybe across the country from you, maybe even very much around the world from you. And it was a pleasure being with you for this time together. And I look forward to continuing the conversation and supporting you as you navigate your careers. So thanks for being here and participating, everybody. Wishing you well and looking forward to next steps. Take care.
Bye, everyone. Such a pleasure.